Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of our Monday morning meeting. And you'll probably notice our backgrounds are a little bit different. I'm not in my office with wood grain. I am sitting with pastels. And so I'm down at the beach, kind of doing the Bahama Bob thing. So if you see a Great Dane happen to walk beside me or any other dog, my apologies. And I know Sam is out on the road. This was a long weekend. And actually, the courts are even closed today, I believe, Sam. But Sam and I always meet on Mondays to have our meetings to go over the legal aspects of the different accounts. And of course, I'm Wilson Cole with Adams, Evans, and Ross. Samantha is our general counsel and attorney on hand, and most everybody knows her. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is going to be the value of personal guarantees. Now, let me first say personal guarantees, if you're a recruiter and you're trying to get an HR manager to sign a personal guarantee, you're probably going to be wasting your time. There's other things that we're going to cover in other aspects. If you're doing contract where either you're paying the payroll or you're exposed on the payroll where if they don't pay, you're still liable for it, you always want to use personal guarantees. And Sam's going to go into the legal aspect of what a personal guarantee is, but let me give you the risk aspect of a personal guarantee. If I were going to loan out $2,000 to $5,000, I probably wouldn't do a personal guarantee. But if I were to loan out 10, 15, 20, 100,000 or whatever, bet you I would have a personal guarantee on that. And the thing that all staffing firms or contract firms need to realize is that when somebody picked up the phone and called you and they said, hey, Samantha, I'm a really nice guy. Let me give you a couple of references. And can I come and pick up a $10,000 check? I can assure you, Sam would laugh. She'd walk down the hallway and she said, I just got a nut from somebody asking me for $10,000. What you need to understand when you're doing staffing is that is exactly what you are doing every time that you extend out credit for staffing. You may be working off of a greater return, bigger margin, but you're not staffing from a financial standpoint. You're loaning money. And a cruel statistic is 80% of the businesses will fail in the first 3 years. What they don't tell you is the next 80% or the surviving 80% will fail over the following 5 years. So, we do a whole thing on risk management that we're going to get in more detail on in upcoming episodes. But the one thing that you need to realize is if a company has been in business less than 2 years, you got an 80% shot that they're going to stick you with the bill. So Sam, explain what a personal guarantee is, explain where it's going to help, where it's not going to help, and I'll shut up.
Okay. A personal guarantee is a form that if it's a separate contract from your main contract, it's better, but it can be embedded into your just standard agreement that states that if the business fails or the business fails to pay, you can go after the signee personally. And if it's, again, an officer of the corporation or the principal of the corporation, it holds more weight than if you're having a HR rep sign stating that they're personally on the hook for this entire balance when they may have absolutely no say in what's going on to get you paid. Sure. What it does is it allows for, if suit has to be filed, you are now suing not only ABC company that owes you the funds, but you're also suing John Smith, who said, if ABC doesn't pay you, I will, or I will be responsible. Okay. Well, that's great when you're filing suit and it, gives you an additional layer so that he can't just shut down ABC Corporation and open XYZ Corporation and you're out of luck. It also is, it's coming through the collection process and it gets stalled and they're like, we don't owe it, or, it's this reason, or we shut that corporation down and we're now this. It now gives a layer of, that may be the case, but you're still on the hook, and it can get people back to the negotiating table quicker.
Without having to file suit.
I had one last week where we'll get to this when we get to it. We'll get to this when we get to it. I sent them a copy of the personal guarantee of, that's great. You know, you've got 2 weeks to answer me on this, but I also want to remind you, you signed this.
Yes.
And within 5 minutes, I had a response in their attorney's name.
Yes. So, so it brings up, because, you know, if corporations were created hundreds of years ago to shield, I mean, the only reason corporations existed were to shield individuals from personal liability. A personal guarantee is a tool that reaches through that corporation and allows them to be personally guaranteed. And Samantha's absolutely right. From a legal standpoint, it's very, very, very useful. But from a collections and just risk management standpoint, it's even more valuable, because it keeps these accounts that may go to suit. Nobody wants to get sued personally. And so, because at that point, that's where all the money typically is, and things on those lines. And if we have a personal guarantee, and there's one national company that will remain unnamed, but they kind of just bury it in their regular whatever, which is not the premium way to do it. But I tell you what, with companies that go out of business, we have a roughly about a 1% percentage, if they're out of business, pay. On these particular clients, we probably have a 50 or 60%. So that should give you the power, and their personal guarantee, in my opinion, probably isn't as solid as some of the others. But use personal guarantees whenever you're extending out money. If you're a recruiter, chances of getting a personal guarantee is going to be slim to none. But if you're a staffing firm, I cannot tell you how many times that I get a client in here that they're owed 50 or they're owed 100,000, and I say, well, why didn't you get a personal guarantee? Well, I asked for one, but they said that they wouldn't sign it. Okay, if the guy that owns the company or the lady that owns the company, if they don't feel confident enough to back it personally, why the heck would you? So, Sam, closing comments on personal guarantees and a couple of things that they need to watch as far as, like putting their titles and things on those lines that can jump up and bite them in the butt.
I think, the big takeaways is it doesn't automatically mean that, the bill's going to get paid, but it does mean that there's more leverage in getting them back to the negotiating table, because some courts will go, ooh, this was them acting in their business, especially if they sign it, John Smith, president of. It can then argue, I've seen a couple of lawsuits even using public officials in certain states where they've run into that. But so it's not a complete foolproof plan, but if you're extending out $100,000, it also forces you, and I have a sample one in our vault of resources, to know who you're dealing with. Because XYZ company could be a DBA, it could be a personal guarantee. You're going to have them list out their name, and in some cases, their personal address. So that way, it also, if it goes to suit and we only have a DBA, we can start searching Secretary of State records to figure out what corporation you were dealing with. Exactly. That's a very good point. So if somebody wants a copy of that personal guarantee, it's absolutely free. Email Samantha at samantha@aercollections.com. She'll send you the link back to the resource vault. And there's just some best practices. We can't give you legal advice, but we can give you tons of risk management and collection advice. But the ones that we like that seem to have the best collection effect, Sam's kind of built in her own personal guarantee. So email Sam, she'll get that over to you. And we look forward to see you on the next podcast. And Sam, thanks for joining me, and go enjoy the rest of your day. You too. Enjoy the beach for me. I'll try to get in some fresh seafood. Thanks. Bye. Bye-bye.